up, everybody? Welcome to Using My Story. I have a special guest, the highly anticipated Hannah. She's back. What's up, Hannah?
Hi, how are you?
Last time we got your story was like 3 years ago, and since then, how many people have? It has like 1 million views, huh, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Like a million people have seen your story. Probably more now. That's just from Facebook. There's people from YouTube,
Oh my
TikTok.
gosh.
Probably at least 2 million, I would say.
Oof.
So a lot of people liked your story. A lot of people could relate with your story, um, and in your story there was a lot of things you went over. So first we'll go over a little bit of your story, and then we'll talk about some of the questions.
Okay.
So can you introduce yourself and say how long you've been sober?
Okay, so my name is Hannah Lane. I've been sober since March 15th of 2021. I actually just took 2 years.
Good.
Yeah, super rad.
Awesome. What's your drug of choice?
Heroin and cocaine.
Heroin and cocaine?
Yeah.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about your childhood. What was your childhood like?
It was pretty good for a while from what I can remember, but then when I hit like grammar school, like maybe fifth grade, things kind of started to go downhill. My parents had a lot of issues and they didn't really know how to keep it separate from the kids. So they started lashing out. Me and my dad went from being like best friends, and then our relationship did a 180 and it got pretty gnarly really fast.
Okay. And did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I have a younger brother and a younger sister.
How are they doing?
They're good. My sister's a cosmetologist. She lives with my dad, and then my brother lives with my mom. He takes care of her, so
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. So when you say things got pretty gnarly with your dad, what does that mean?
So I started drinking when I was like maybe 11 or 12, and he found out, so like we would get into arguments, but then it turned into like when I started using heavy drugs, we'd be tackling each other on my neighbor's front lawn. I jumped out of a balcony to try and get away from him because I was detoxing and I needed to go pick up. He would call the cops on me. I would be in a psych ward or in jail. Like, it literally turned into almost every other weekend I was locked up.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how old were you when what was your first drug that you used? Was it heroin or coke?
It was heroin. I was 14. I actually didn't even know that I was getting heroin. I hit up a girl who I knew like had some kind of drugs, and I just asked for dope, not knowing what the hell I was gonna get, you know? And I got like these little stamps, and I opened it as powder. So I was like, okay, like I'm not dumb. You're gonna sniff powder, and I did, and I like instantly got addicted.
And it was heroin?
Yeah, it was heroin.
So you first used heroin when you were 14.
Yeah,
How was it that first time you used it? What did it feel like?
it felt warm, and it was like, holy crap! Like I've never felt anything like this, and it felt good for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, like for
Yeah.
a little while, like I was doing it, nobody really knew. But then when I couldn't get it, obviously I'd get sick. My dad had a prescription for oxys, so I dove into that, and like it just got worse and worse the deeper I went into it.
Did your dad struggle with addiction too?
No, my dad got into a surfing accident, and he actually didn't. He got like a bottle of 90 oxys. He didn't touch any of them. So I took the whole bottle. I was like,
Yeah.
well, screw it. Like, he's not going to use them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So 14, first time you used was with the heroin, and how did you go from drinking alcohol to looking for dope? How did that happen?
Dude, I feel like it was just like a mental switch or something. Like the alcohol was good, but I would drink and black out each time. And like I wanted something that would make me feel more alive, because the alcohol would literally lead to a blackout and I had no control over anything. So I was like I want to try something harder, you know?
Yeah.
So I searched for dope and I hooked up with that girl, and she had everything under the sun. So it was like I was doing heroin, and then if she didn't have that, it was coke. And coke was a whole other demon, like that was bad too.
So we have a lot of people, like different people that watch our podcasts and videos, but I'm sure a lot of parents are like, "Dang, 14, how what could parents do to kind of like look out for that and see signs that their teenagers are struggling with addiction?"
I mean, if you see that your child starts to like isolate, doesn't have like I was a student athlete, right? And I like completely drew back from sports. I was very involved. I used to be involved with school. I used to get like pretty good grades. And all that started declining So I'd say isolation is like the major key. But also, like, for my parents, I was their first kid that had addiction. I was like their first incident with addiction. Like, my dad's dad was an alcoholic, but not really into drugs. But it's like they didn't know how to navigate it. So, like, tread cautiously, I guess, because, like, if you go too gnarly, it's going to push your kid away like it did me. Like, my dad turned super strict. It was like, you're not leaving the house, you're not doing this. So I'd start putting, like, baskets with sheets tied to it to pick up drugs from my window, you know? Like,
Wow.
I went to any length, but it's like, you have to definitely tread cautiously, but, like, also be open-minded. Like, reach out for help.
Yeah.
Like, because if you don't know how to do it, if, like, this is your first time dealing with it, reach out to people who've been through it, parents that have been through it. Like, Al-Anon is freaking rad.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have the link in my bio. People could reach out for help. If people reach out to talk to you for help, I'm gonna. Is it cool if you get on the? Would you get on the phone?
Absolutely.
With them?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right, cool. So let's go back to the heroin. When you started using heroin, do you feel like, and even going into the coke, do you feel like there was like some mental health issues that you were also dealing with? And what was that like?
Yeah, definitely gnarly mental health. So I spent a lot of my childhood in and out of psych asylums and psych wards and stuff, pre-drugs and alcohol. So it was like, in my head, I'm thinking the drugs are helping it because they make me feel normal. And they made everything 100 times worse. I mean, it set me in, like, hallucinations, episodes, like downward spirals, full-on manic episodes that, like, wouldn't have happened if I wasn't detoxing from the drugs. So it made all that so much more gnarly. It was like, dude, it was fucking... Oops, sorry, I don't know if I could curse on here.
You're good.
But yeah, it was just like, it made everything so much worse because, like, then I had no way of handling it other than to get more drugs. So I just kept myself, like, stuck in a circle, a gnarly circle.
Wow. Okay. So you were already dealing with mental health issues before you started using. What did you get diagnosed with? So
when I was younger, it was like, there was definitely personality disorders being thrown around, but I couldn't be officially diagnosed until I hit the age of 18. So it was like depression, anxiety, OCD, ADHD. And then when I turned 18, they diagnosed me bipolar 1 and borderline personality disorder.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did that feel like as a child to struggle with that, not knowing what it was? Like, what are some of the symptoms, or how did you know that there was things going on with you?
I mean, so, like, I would detract from reality a lot of the times. Like, I felt like I couldn't fit in or I wouldn't fit in. I would go through, like, so many different friend groups. And at first I thought, like, okay, I could get along with everyone.
Yeah.
But then I realized, like, as I got older, it's not that I'm, like, getting along with everyone. It's that I'm going through phases and I'm with this friend group and then I, like, completely cut them off. I make up some situation that happened as to why we can't be friends anymore. Like, I was delusional. But I noticed, like, I wasn't like the other kids per se because I didn't know how to interact with them. I didn't know how to bond with other people unless it was some kind of, like, chaotic situation.
Yeah.
So, like, when drugs came into play in high school and drinking came into play, like, I could use that to, like, bond with other kids. I hung out with drug addicts. I hung out with kids that drank. Maybe not, like, alcoholics. But, I mean, like, I gravitated towards the more troubled kids because I felt more comfortable there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, heroin. Talk about what are the withdrawal symptoms like? Like, talk about your gnarliest withdrawals. And
I mean, the gnarliest withdrawal, it felt like the flu on crack. It was like, dude, my whole body was aching. I had headaches, throwing up nonstop. I couldn't hold anything down. I couldn't even drink water. And it just, like, I felt like my body was just, like, shutting down. It was so gnarly. And I was like, dude, like, this is never going to end. Itching, pins and needles, like, my hands and my feet would go numb and I'd, like, try to smack them on a wall or something, like, trying to get some feeling. But, and it lasted for, like, maybe 4 or 5 days. The longest I think it lasted was about a week for me. But it just
cold
felt
turkey?
Cold turkey. No meds because I abused Suboxone.
Yeah.
So, like, when I would go into treatment, I'd be like, don't give me Suboxone. I'm just going to get hooked on that, you know? And that's a whole other battle that I don't want to deal with.
So you're not using subs?
No.
You
Never
refuse
have.
to do subs because you started abusing the subs.
Yeah, when I couldn't get heroin, my dealer would have, like, the tabs of Suboxone. So I take those and get high as heck on them. So I was like, dude, like, I'm not going to do that. If I want to get sober, I'm going to get sober fully.
That's a big one. So there's a big old Suboxone movement.
Yeah.
Suboxone fam.
Yeah.
And I don't knock any MAT. I don't like everybody has their way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there is a side of treatment and a side of getting sober where a lot of people say, I'm not going to use nothing. I can't. It's all getting high to me. I'm not going to do any of it.
Yeah.
So, does Suboxone get you high?
Absolutely. For me, it did. I mean, without a doubt. And I'm like
Same type
scared
of
to
high
touch it.
as an opiate high. Same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. So, like the euphoria, the warmth, like don't really have control over what you're doing, kind of. Like you're kind of like loopsy or whatever. But yeah,
And that's taking it as prescribed.
yeah,
So you get it's like just like getting high on heroin, but you have a prescription for it and
pretty
it's less
much.
dangerous.
Yeah, and like I know that some people say that they need it,
Yeah.
and like you said, like I'm not gonna knock them. I think that maybe some people truly do, but as a gnarly recovering heroin addict, like it can be done without it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there is that way. There are some people that don't even want to venture that because it could lead to relapse after relapse.
Yeah.
But for me, like it can be done without it, I think.
Yeah. That's big. That's not something we really talk about that much, but I think that's a big topic because
Yeah.
there's camps, there's the pro mat people and then the people that are like, "Nah, don't use nothing."
Yeah.
And there a lot of people are getting help on both sides of it, but I don't think there's enough people talking about the pros and the cons and like what it's really like.
Yeah.
Even they're even starting to say, "Oh, you can use Ativan for methamphetamine addiction. It's like Matt, but it's not meth. It's not meth. It's Ativan or Adderall."
Yeah.
And it's literally, I was meth was my DOC, and I'm not gonna freaking, I can't.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just gonna want to hit the pookie or
Anything,
take a
dude.
line.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So let's talk. So what are the withdrawal symptoms like off of Suboxone?
Suboxone's super similar. Kind of feel like the flu, maybe a little less. I actually think it's worse than heroin.
Really?
If you're using it consistently enough, I think that it's worse than heroin, like the body aches, the restless legs, the numbness, and there's that mental aspect of it too that happens, I think, with like all drug and alcohol withdrawals. Like there's that mental aspect, like you feel like it's never gonna end, you feel like it's the worst pain you've ever been in. Yeah, I definitely think Suboxone's worse than heroin. It's like all that shit from heroin withdrawals
Yeah.
times 20,
Wow.
Yeah.
And then people, when they run out of their Suboxone, they would want to go immediately get high.
Yeah.
So some people want to stay on it. Some people use it for a little while and then taper down. But that's an interesting point of view. Now, what is the craziest thing you ever did to get high?
Probably the story that I mentioned earlier. So my parents found out that I was using heroin. They found my rigs in my room. So they locked me in their bedroom and they were like, listen, like you need to get help. And I was like, no, like F you guys, I want to go get high. So I jumped off their balcony, landed on a glass table on my patio and ran. It was like, I'm from New York, so it was like the dead of winter. I had like, I think a sports bra on, sweatpants, socks. And I sprinted down to the park and I ran to the abandoned freaking storefront that I talked about last time. I ran right there because I remembered how to get there. But like dead of winter, socks, sports bra, sweats, didn't care. I had glass sticking out of me from the table. I didn't care.
Wow.
Yeah.
How high up was that balcony?
It was pretty high up.
Like the second story?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You just jumped out, landed on
I
your
just
feet?
jumped out. No, I landed on the glass table. I like fell on my
wow.
side. Yeah. It was gnarly.
And then you got up and ran.
Oh, yeah. Sprinted.
Okay, so craziest story. I know about the story with the baby. A lot of people were like, what happened with that baby? So what happened did you talk about that real quick?
So, to be honest, I never found out what happened to that baby, but I definitely, like, now being in recovery, dude, like, now I know to spread awareness about that stuff. Like, you see something, say something, like, that's super important. Yeah, I'm not sure.
So tell that story real quick, because there's a lot of people that know it, and then a lot of people that are seeing you for the first time. They don't know that story.
So I was, like, feeding for dope, so I hit up my girl. We walked again in the winter to this abandoned storefront. It was kind of like a deli front. We went up the stairs, and there was nothing in that. It was like a studio, I guess. There was nothing in there, right? There's a pit bull chained to a pipe sticking out of the ground. There's no furniture, no dishes, nothing. And I look in a bedroom, and there's a baby with like some clothing. I think it was a T-shirt on it as a diaper, and the baby looked like it was turning blue, right? But I was so gnarly in my addiction that I didn't even think twice. I was like, okay, like, where's the dope? I saw the baby. Don't get me wrong. It made me feel some type of way. But when you're so stuck in your addiction, dude, like, stuff like that doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Yeah. That was one of the major ones. And a lot of people were, even myself included, I'm like, that is messed up that that baby was there. But there's a super ugly side of addiction that...
Yeah.
Like there's a world that people there's like a world that people don't even know about. Like you could be walking down the street, but you see it a whole different way than someone who's in addiction.
Absolutely.
They know the cuts, they know where the plug is that's in that house that looks normal. There's things that are not normal that are happening in that house. They know that that person who looks normal actually has a gun in their waist.
Yeah.
And they just left a crime scene. There's a whole nother criminal side of that life that people, it's like mind-blowing to them. They don't understand that people have to get hurt or you're going to get caught. If you get caught, you're going to go to prison. If you go to prison, then you're going to, people would do anything to not go to prison.
Absolutely, yeah.
So whatever it takes, they're going to try to stay out. And I think addiction will make you do crazy, ugly things.
For sure.
Like things you would never do if you're trying to get high, you're gonna go do it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And I think a lot of people need to be educated. They don't understand that you're gonna have to get high. There's no other option other than you getting high. That's the target, and you're gonna hit the target no matter what you have to do for it.
Yeah, always.
So what was your rock bottom like?
I think for me, the last time I hit rock bottom, it was more of like a spiritual and emotional rock bottom. I truly felt like I was alone. I have been trying to get sober since maybe 2016, but it was like I tried all the different ways. I tried strictly going to church, strictly going to meetings, but the last time I hit my rock bottom back in 2021, it was like, dude, I was homeless. I didn't have a dime to my name. I lost my job. I just finally left a super abusive relationship, and it was like I was truly broken from the inside out. And I realized that, like, if I didn't go and get help, then this was going to be my life. Like, I was going to end up probably on Skid Row, probably getting high for the rest of my life. But I got a taste of that sobriety when I first came out here. So I was like, I knew what to do. But that spiritual rock bottom hits you different. It definitely hits you different. Like when you truly feel like you had your higher power, you had your God, and like that was ripped. When you feel like it was ripped from you, that's when you're like, holy shit, like something's got to change.
Yeah. What is that Diablo tattoo?
Oh my gosh. So when I was...
That was another one, huh, Jimmy? You're like, what's up with that tattoo?
Oh my gosh.
Give us a little rundown on all the tattoos, all the face tattoos.
Diablo was like the first big face tattoo that I got. So I was gnarly in my coke addiction. I worked at a barber shop, and we were just like shooting the shit after work, and they were like, oh, you should get a face tat. And I was like, yeah. They were like, yeah, you should get something Spanish because I'm Puerto Rican and Cuban. So I was like, oh yeah, something Spanish. And they were like, you need something that suits you. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, think of something. And one of the guys was like, just get Diablo, she-devil. I was like, hell yeah, run it. I went straight to the tattoo shop and got it done. My dad kicked me out the house.
You came home to your dad with a big old Diablo tattoo on your forehead?
Yeah, straight kicked me out the house.
That's not even an eyebrow tattoo. That's a straight up forehead tattoo.
It's a forehead tat, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what did your dad say?
Oh, he hates it. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, what? What made you do that? It's like I was trying to be cool, like with the barbershop guys. Like, just going with it. But, I mean, I do regret it. But there's like the homeboy industries that do face tat removal. Yeah. Especially if it's like gang related or whatever. So I'm going to look into that. I've just been afraid because it's my face, man. That shit's going to hurt.
Yeah. No, I get that. I got a couple, too, that I want to get rid of. Yeah. What's that other one?
This one?
Yeah, what is that?
It's a lotus flower.
Okay. What's that?
So they basically grow from mud and turn into like those pretty pink flowers.
Okay.
So it's kind of like I grew from the gutter and now I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
pretty much. That's right.
What about that one over there?
This one is a G. So my mom's last name is Gonzalez.
Okay.
It was supposed to turn out totally different, but dude did his thing with it, so it is what it is.
It's like a old English G.
Yeah.
Let me see. Turn it toward the camera. It's that old. It's like the G. Okay. Her last name's what?
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. So you're not Mexican though. You're Puerto Rican and Cuban.
Cuban, yeah.
Got it. And what does that say right there?
Mayhem.
Mayhem.
Yeah.
And that's like another addiction.
That was sobriety.
That was sobriety. Let's go.
Yeah.
So talk about that one real quick.
So I went to the surf camp called Surfers Healing, and I volunteered with them a few times. They teach special needs kids how to surf. And when I went out there, I was coming off of heroin. They kind of took me as like we'll help you. Just come surf with us.
Yeah.
And they called me Mayhem because they would like push me into the waves and I'd just be charging for them. So they called me Mayhem. So I kind of like took it and ran with it. And I did some work with them over the last summer. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to put it on my face.
Yeah. Yeah. Finesse.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of good stories.
Yeah.
What's your so you've been clean for 2 years. How did you finally break out of your addiction?
Okay, well, I accidentally overdosed. I went to go get cocaine, and I took like one little nail bump of it, and it ended up being fentanyl. I've never touched fentanyl in my life. I had never overdosed prior to that. So that happened, and then like I said, I hit that spiritual rock bottom. But I knew what I had to do, so I got myself back into treatment. After I completed detox, I just started going to meetings every day. I did the whole 90 and 90. Sometimes it was 2-3 meetings a day.
Yeah.
But I raised my hand, dude. If I was struggling that day, I'd raise my hand and be like, hey, I'm new here. I'm having a shit day. Like, I need help. Somebody come talk to me. But I was honest.
That's
Through and
solid.
through, like, good days, share about it. Bad days, share about it.
That's solid. I like that. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Anybody who's watching, your family, your loved ones, if they need help, share the link with them. Feel free to reach out to me. You could message me. You could hit the link in my bio. You could leave a comment. Tons of people are getting help. There's people coming from all over to, get treatment and get better. Nobody is too far gone. If you're still breathing, you still have a chance. No matter what you do, you're never alone. Reach out, and we'll do everything we can to help. Make sure you like, subscribe, and show some love to Hannah, the Mayhem Master, in the comments. Thank you so much for coming out, Hannah. We appreciate you. We're going to do it again, maybe in a few weeks.
Yeah,
We gotta
for sure.
keep you out here.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Don't you lose sight